It's now time for Party Chat Sports.
The only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
Welcome back, everybody, to Party Chat Sports. I'm one of your hosts, Caleb Gill. You are looking at Grogu, but Cam is with me today, as two of us are going to be discussing the NFL offseason, as we are 1 week in. It's our 1 year anniversary as well, not quite to the day, but we have been podcasting for a year now. So we definitely had to get something up this week. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy March Madness. Cam, how you doing?
Oh, we're having fun. All right, Gil, you want to know how I'm doing?
Go ahead.
Conflicted.
Okay.
Grogu's gonna say for me, but let's get this off the table. Kirk Cousins signs to the Atlanta Falcons for $50 million a year. I told you guys he wasn't leaving. I've been bamboozled. Tampering has been involved. Kirk might have been done by week 12 of last year, talking. It's unfortunate. It really is. I know Justin Jefferson is hurt. I know the whole locker room kind of feels backstabbed at the moment from the subtweeting and the just no one has said goodbye to Kirk or thank you, Kirk. I mean, text messages may have been sent, right? Like those messages may have been sent on text message, but not even Justin openly, because there's reports of him getting the same deal. But I mean, for Kirk, you're essentially going to the same exact situation, just with a different coach and a system that you're probably not familiar with yet. So it's really like if your whole plan was to play 3 to 4 more years, good. This is a good move for you. If you wanted to play 1 to 2, you definitely should have stayed with the Vikings. But I think it's more Minnesota's kind of hurt. No one has bad blood, but we move on. If you have any input on Kirk Cousins to the Atlanta Falcons.
In the podcast that I recorded, so for those that are watching on YouTube and only watch us on YouTube, you didn't catch what I had to say, but for those that listen to us through our podcast, know that I had predicted, like a lot of people, that Kirk was going to go to the Falcons. It didn't come as a shock to me. It is kind of weird that nobody has really said anything from the Vikings side, but it just made too much sense in the world for me for Kirk Cousins to go to the Falcons, because I get it's kind of a lateral move in terms of, you go from Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison to younger weapons that have star potential. But I think the one thing that really helps Kirk Cousins, or one big reason why Kirk Cousins would go to the Falcons, is, take no offense to this, but it's going to be easier for the Falcons to win the NFC South more so than it would be for the Vikings to win the NFC North.
Okay.
It's an easier conference. It's an easier division, where your number one competitor is the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. Not going to knock on them, but that's really all you're competing with. The Saints are routinely mid and frauds. Panthers, they are who they are. They are a poorly run organization with a second-year quarterback. So if you're Kirk Cousins, you see that, and then you see what you have in the NFC North, where the Lions were just in the NFC Championship game. The Packers look to be emerging if Jordan Love's the guy, and the Bears have it. They made the playoffs, and they again look to be emerging. And then you have the Bears, who everybody trashes on them, but the defense isn't bad. If Caleb Williams is the guy, if the Bears could be dangerous. So then you look at the Vikings, it's like, all right, this is kind of a rebuilding team.
A
It's kind of
rebuilding team? Okay, hold on. We're not going to say they're rebuilding because of the moves that they've made. Essentially, they have had, and by a consensus, a B-plus offseason. Their offense needed zero work. Because this is where we're going to actually switch up here. Okay?
I wasn't done with Kirk, man.
All right, go ahead, finish Kirk, because then I'm going in on you.
The one thing that I don't like is him wearing number 18 for one. That just looks gross.
That's fine
But
for me.
you should not. We had this discussion in the Twitter chat the other day where only certain quarterbacks can wear numbers that high. Like Phillip Rivers is the only quarterback I can think of that can wear like 17. Manning 18. Joe Montana looked good in 16. Nobody else. Like expect like 19. Bernie Kosar was 19, but like that just looks gross. So like quarterbacks should not wear numbers that high. But it is weird the way he left and went out, and it just a lot of people praise Kirk, but I remember when he used the Jets and was saying, "Hey, let's get a really good contract from you," and then the second the Jets gave him exactly what he wanted, he spurns on them, goes to the Vikings, and pretty much used the Jets to get a contract. That kind of made me realize, oh, this dude's just about money. As much as, some of the quarterback documentaries that have come out, as what he says at the podium, fine. But
Now,
this dude is an ultimate finesser. I mean,
now
he
here,
is.
let me counter you on that. I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't.
Oh, you're good.
But he has specifically said, I don't really get involved until around March. He lets his agent do everything. I think his agent is more about the money because he probably gets a very nice cut. So I think that has not been taken into consideration on the fact that his agent probably gives him advice
But
to
at
the
the end of
best
the
deal.
day, at the end of the day, Kirk Cousins is the one that signs the deal.
Yes.
And the whole Jets scenario with him, that was all recorded. But you can go watch that. You can go watch Kirk Cousins trying to get more money from the Jets to get that better deal from the Vikings. And he knows where he wants to go. It was never going. I don't think it was ever going to happen that he was going to come back to the Vikings. I think he had his mind set on going to Atlanta, trying something different, and I think it was just time. Sometimes, good runs have to come to an end at some point. It didn't ultimately lead to what you guys had hoped when you originally signed him, but he was probably the best quarterback you've watched in a Vikings uniform, right? So you had some good years.
Yeah, we had one playoff win. It's what makes it easy. One playoff win with him.
So that was definitely the biggest news of the offseason. And before we get to the rest of the Vikings, because that's kind of related, I think just Kirk Cousins in general signing with the Falcons had a huge ripple effect on the rest of the league. You look at now the Vikings, they did go out and get Sam Darnold. You're not getting him. He's not your franchise quarterback. It looks like the Vikings are preparing to move up in the draft for a quarterback. So now the Vikings are in that quarterback conversation in the draft, and there's only so many quarterbacks to go around. So Kirk Cousins leaving means some team is going to get screwed out of a quarterback, if it be a Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, if it be one of those quarterbacks, they're going to get screwed and not get the guy that they wanted because the Vikings didn't keep Kirk Cousins. And then you have the Falcons side of it, where Justin Fields probably would have been the guy in Atlanta. I believe this.
Mm-hmm.
If Kirk Cousins wasn't signed. So now Justin Fields is the backup in Pittsburgh because Kirk Cousins signed with the Falcons. And then you look at the other teams that Kirk Cousins didn't sign with. So like the Denver Broncos. Who the hell is starting at quarterback for them? I don't know. I don't even know if they know. That's kind of a ripple effect. So there's just a lot of things that since Kirk Cousins, from the quarterback side of things, since Kirk Cousins signed with the Falcons, there's just a lot of
Yeah,
It's a domino
that's
effect.
been odd that the Broncos have been oddly quiet.
I don't get it. I don't know what
Very
their plan
oddly.
is.
But is
I don't know what their
Stidham the
plan is.
guy? Is Stidham the
No.
guy?
They just might be tanking for 2025, like legitimately tanking for 2025. I don't know why you would do that. A lot of the scouts look at next year's draft class and say it's not going to be like a lot of times you look forward to the next draft class and say that's the quarterback draft class. From what I'm seeing, a lot of people are not that high on the 2025 draft class. So maybe the Broncos know something that we don't. I don't get it with
You
them.
know, Sean Payton's an older guy. He's probably realizing I only want to do this so many years. Maybe I go for one of the Penixes or Bo Nixes.
That's kind of the rumor. It just seems like that they're going to stay there. I think they have pick 12. It just seems like that they're going to stay there at 12, and then whatever the top quarterback is on the board, they're going to take. I don't know if they actually have a plan at quarterback. So I feel bad for Broncos fans because there
Yeah,
isn't
I
any
don't.
other quarterback. There
You have a
really
Super
isn't
Bowl.
any other options. That's true. Not really many other options that you can go after. Everyone's gone. I don't know who else could be traded. Like I thought they were a spot for Justin Fields. I had said that in the podcast a couple weeks ago. I think like our season 2 premiere or first episode of season 2 essentially was it was the second, third, whatever. I had said that I think Justin Fields makes sense in Denver because they're going to need a starter. He would make sense there as a chance that gives him an opportunity to start. And a lot of people look at Sean Payton and think, well, he had Drew Brees. He wants more of the pocket passer. Didn't really work with Russell Wilson, who's more mobile. I think Russell Wilson just isn't as mobile anymore. There's a lot of other issues, I think.
And he's
And
not his guy. He's not his guy.
But also, when it comes to mobility, who's a guy that gave Taysom Hill a chance at quarterback and let him start half the season? Sean Payton. So he's fine with a mobile quarterback. I think that would have
True.
made sense. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Every other quarterback is, grabbed. I don't know. Unless, the Cardinals do something completely out of the ordinary and think, you know what? We're going to take a quarterback at 4 and then we'll trade Kyler to Denver. But I'm not even. That's just. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. But that's enough talk on the Broncos. I know that you wanted to get into some Vikings. Let's just get a little bit of Vikings out of the way because I know that you got some off your chest, and then we'll get to some other teams and how they did this offseason.
All right, listen. Vikings offense didn't need much work. Aaron Jones adds them and makes them a juggernaut. And you know what? Honestly, if you're a rookie quarterback coming into this situation, a lot of people like to talk about the Bears being the best situation. You're coming into Addison, you're coming into Jefferson, Hawkinson, a very good offensive line.
I thought it
Keep
was
that
bad.
in mind.
I thought you've been telling us it's bad.
At the end of the year, it got better. It would have been better with Kirk Cousins. I mean, we were still putting up points. Offense was good.
That's
Defense
because the
was the
league is built
problem.
to do that.
We lose Daniil. Okay, we knew it was coming. He deserves to go win a Super Bowl. He's been loyal. Vikings fans wish him the best. He said goodbye. Thank you. We get Grenard. Very good
That was
pickup. Van
I did
Ginkel.
like that.
Van Ginkel, who has experience with Flores. I remember when everybody was telling me Flores is only a 1 year. It's a little stop for him. No, they have given him complete control of this defense, and he is making it a very scary defense.
Not to
He's
burst your
gonna- I-
bubble there, but that's also because nobody wanted Flores as a head coach this year.
That's fine, but you know what? We might see another Spagnola. Honestly,
That's
I would love
Maybe.
if Flores stays. Because
Maybe.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. In some situations, you don't have full control. O'Connell says, "Take everything defensive. Just let me know, but do your thing." To Flores, that is their relationship, and I think Flores loves that. And here's the thing: you get, I mean, what did they get? A+ in almost everything for environment. Anyways, we're gonna move on. Blake Cashman coming in, very good linebacker.
The Chiefs failed that test, and they've won 2 of the last 3
Because
Super Bowls.
because of their owner.
It doesn't
Anyways.
matter. Like that test doesn't mean shit.
They have beefed
It's
up.
not leading you to Super Bowls.
They have beefed up the defensive line a little bit. They're going with a lot of 1 year deals. I don't think anybody has been signed for over 2 years.
Grenard was.
Grenard
Was a
was,
4 year,
yes.
but he's also 26, 25.
So
He's younger. He's younger.
so this defense with Van Ginkel having experience with Flores, I would not be shocked if Xavier Howard came over for cheap. This team, depending on what quarterback they draft, can go. I would give the Vikings a B plus offseason. They beefed up where they needed to. They acquired another pick in the first round, which helps them so much because they might just keep that pick. They might be able to draft their quarterback at 11. We don't know who their quarterback is. Nobody knows.
That's too much of a risk.
Yes, but that's also if you see how it plays out. Because you might be able to just trade up to like 8 or 9. It's smoke screen season. You don't know what's going on.
That's true.
And Vikings get two first rounders. They get a decent corner in Shaquille Griffin, beefed up the
careful
defense.
Careful saying great. That
yes,
dude's,
Madden great. Madden great.
Yeah,
we'll say Madden great.
You got to separate that sometimes.
Yeah, Okay, I got you. And then you pick up Aaron Jones. Solid pickup. Great. Having a veteran in the backfield with your rookie quarterback, with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and then Hawkinson on the line, you could not ask for a better scenario. You have a rookie quarterback has never been placed, and quote me on this, a rookie quarterback has never been placed in a better situation than the 2024 Minnesota Vikings. And I think there can be argument for that, but that team the offense is out of this world. Defense needs more work.
I mean, I would argue that Patrick Mahomes was in a better spot with Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, and he didn't have to start. And, that kind of worked out because now he's got 3 Super Bowls.
This rookie quarterback is not getting a full season to sit.
So, you're going to hear me. Anybody that listens to us is going to hear me say this a lot during the draft season if I haven't said it already. I am a firm believer that rookie quarterbacks should sit their entire year. Doesn't happen. I think it's dumb. But I will agree with you to an extent. The Vikings are in a good spot for a rookie quarterback. Because assuming you guys keep Justin Jefferson, having Jordan Addison, Hawk, and a good offensive play caller in Kevin O'Connell, as long as they don't have to start immediately, Sam
you forgot
Darnold,
Jones, former Packer, the second former Packer to come.
Yes, that's a solid
fourth
group around you. Yes, have 4. That's a solid group, and if Sam Darnold doesn't completely crap the bed and if that rookie quarterback doesn't have to play week 1, and if he can sit with Josh McCown as well. I'm a big believer in Josh McCown. It didn't really work out for Bryce Young, but I don't think that's Josh McCown's fault. I think that's a solid group, a solid spot for a rookie quarterback. And as long as they sit, I think they'll be fine.
Look at the difference between the Panthers' starting spot with one of your main receivers being Mingo and Terrence Marshall to Jefferson and Addison. It's much different.
That's what I'm saying.
Vikings, give us Drake May, please. Please. Not McCarthy, please.
Also, speaking of, quarterbacks going to good spots, Trey Lance, when he was drafted to the 49ers have a juggernaut, okay? Justin Herbert had some good pieces there in L.A. Let's see. Lamar Jackson in Baltimore.
Let's relax.
Just saying. Andrew Luck. That was not a bad spot.
Not a bad spot, but at the same time, not the best roster. They went 2-14 for a reason.
Because they tanked for Luck.
They did not mean to tank.
Yes, they did. They can't admit it, but if you look at who they were trotting out there as quarterback, Curtis Painter, and they were tanking. Okay, you cannot convince me otherwise of that. They were tanking for Andrew Luck. But
Tolzien from Wisconsin. I remember that year.
that is brutal. Freaking brutal. All right, let's take I so I understand where you're coming from. The Vikings did add some pieces, but for me, and we were kind of talking about this before we hopped on, it's hard for me to say you guys had a good offseason when you downgrade as much as you did at quarterback. Right? You're going from a top 15 quarterback in the NFL, most important position in sports. You're going from a top 15 quarterback to top 35
Okay,
quarterback
let
in
me ask
Sam
you one
Darnold.
question, and then I'll shut up.
Okay.
You have to keep in mind the $50 million cap hit
I don't care about cap hits.
and the guaranteed money.
That's It's the
That
NFL. It's a moneymaker. The cap goes up every year. If cap's fake anyways, there's ways to finesse it. It's not really fake. But
yeah, I mean
I
Chargers
don't
found
care.
that out this year.
It's your starting quarterback. You figure it out. I don't care about cap hits when it comes to trying to be great and you have a good quarterback. Because Kirk Cousins, as much crap as I like to give him, now that he's off the Vikings, I can praise him a little bit more. But he's a top 15 quarterback.
But he's
When
coming
you
off Achilles injury. That's what you guys have always told me.
That is true. That is very true. And that does worry me that he is coming off of an Achilles injury. But you go from a top 15 quarterback to a backup quarterback. That's what Sam Darnold is. He's a backup in the NFL. And also pairing him with a unknown in a rookie quarterback. It's hard for me to say that you upgraded or you got better this offseason when you lose that big of a piece. That's just it's fine what you guys have done, but when you lose a quarterback and you downgrade as much as you did, and you don't have a guaranteed solution, maybe whoever you draft will be better than Kirk Cousins, but it's an unknown. So at the moment, I'd probably give you guys a C, C plus, probably somewhere in that range, just because I think
You better do a
Kirk
B
Cousins-
minus right now.
C plus. I think losing Kirk Cousins is that big of a hit for you guys. Speaking of bad off seasons, let's keep it in the family here. Let's keep it here at Party Chat Sport, because I think you've probably got a. You know what? Who's your bad off season? Who do you think had the worst off season so far? As we are a week and a half into it.
See, I can be the bigger man
Don't.
and not
Because
take
I
the
agree
easy
with
one.
you.
And not take the easy one. But I'm gonna take the easy one. It's the Dallas freaking Cowboys, brother. You guys are doing nothing. Jerry's sleeping on the yacht again. Brother's taking a nap and not waking up until 3 o'clock in the morning and no agents are awake. Jerry. Oh, and whatever that your Steven name is. You guys are great at drafting, but you can't rely on it every single year, especially with everything that you've lost. I know you have to pay CD. I know you have to pay Micah. Well, if you have to do that, get it done now so you can participate in the offseason.
They signed a player.
You got bounced early from the playoffs anyway, so you had more time to talk about it. You knew you were getting bounced. Maybe probably not as early. You knew it was coming against the 49ers, but by the Packers, that's crazy. You did not know. So you probably were a week behind. Anyways, you lose. I don't even know who you lost. I just remember seeing the list and seeing like 15 players, and then you see Mike Zimmer and Eric Kendricks. Love Kendricks. He is my GOAT linebacker, in a homer way. It's going to be nice to see a reunion with him and Zimmer. But yeah, I mean, I hope you have a really, really good draft, or else you are getting 60 overalls in Madden to fill your roster.
You hope they have a good draft? That's awfully big of you.
I mean,
Okay.
Drew's been through it.
Okay, so I just pulled up the list of everybody the Cowboys have lost this year. Tony Pollard went to the Titans. Michael, and a lot of these guys are like, Drew is not losing sleep over a lot of these guys. Like Tony Pollard.
No, he's losing sleep over one guy.
Over a couple of them, yes. Michael Gallup still a free agent. Chuma Adoga still a free agent. Tyron Smith comes to the Jets. Tyler Biadasz, I don't know how to say his last name, but the center goes to the Commanders along with Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler Jr.
Didn't Connor Williams leave too? And Gilmore's leaving for sure.
Gilmore's a free agent. Jerron Kearse is a free agent. Leighton Vander Esch retired. Jonathan Hankins signed with the Seahawks, and Neville Gallimore signed with the Dolphins. So they've lost. I mean, you've lost at least two starting offensive linemen. You're starting running back. A lot of these guys, like the ones that went to the Commanders for the most part, except for the center, I don't think Drew's losing a lot of sleep over. Leighton Vander Esch kind of hurt him. But I don't know. It's tough. I'll let Drew, whenever he has a chance, speak a little bit more on the Cowboys, but them not doing anything except for signing Eric Kendricks does hurt them this offseason. I don't know if you mean to be muted, but you are muted at the moment. So I'm going to give you two different answers for bad offseason. I'm going to give you a team, and then I'm going to give you a player who's had bad offseason. So the team, I think, had a pretty bad offseason. I think the Titans have had a bad offseason. I'm not a fan of what the Titans have done, not necessarily with who they've lost, but with who they've gained. They completely overpaid for Calvin Ridley, getting some like Kenny Galladay vibes from that deal. Tony Pollard, it just didn't seem to make sense. I did like Mason Rudolph. They did bring in the center Cushenberry. That's not bad. But there's just things that the Titans have done this offseason that just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not a big fan of what they've done this offseason. I think they are a loser. They also signed Chidobe Awuzie. I don't know how to say his name. But the Calvin Ridley signing, 4-year, $92 million, fully guaranteed $50 million for Calvin Ridley. That is bananas. And then Tony Pollard, 3-year, $24 million. It's just, I don't know what the plan is. Things just aren't making sense for me with the Titans. The player, though, that I think has had the worst offseason, and Dylan's going to shed a tear when I say this.
Stop! No,
Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has had a terrible offseason with everybody that he's lost.
Okay.
You thought I was going to mention the Steelers, didn't you?
No, because I thought you were going to take mine.
No. I think Justin Herbert's had a terrible offseason. And it's not his fault. It's just the Chargers have to get rid of all of his players. They don't have anybody.
I would very much agree with you.
Austin Eckler, gone. Keenan Allen, gone. Mike Williams, gone.
See you later.
Bye. Adios. Who did the Chargers sign this year? They signed Gus Edwards. Okay. He's solid. I'll give you that. Will Dissly, Hayden Hurst, a couple tight ends. They have no receivers. You're relying on Quentin Johnston as your number one at the moment.
Yo, stop. They're about to get Marv.
They might. I don't know. I think I don't know if they do or not. My prediction, I'll say this now, I'll get this out in the open now. We got a lot of offseason to talk draft, but I've had this in my head for a while. I don't really know if I'm going to change off of it. I think the first couple picks go 1, Caleb Williams to the Bears, 2, Drake May to the Commanders, 3, Jaden Daniels to the Patriots, 4, I think the Cardinals, even though there was a report that came out today that they're going to be listening to trade offers, I think the Cardinals take another Ohio State player in the first round. I think they draft Marv. And then I think 5, I think the Chargers trade down. Don't rip my head off for this. Don't rip it off, okay? I genuinely think at this point that the Vikings do trade up with the Chargers. And they're going to draft Justin McCarthy. Or J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy. I do think that's going to happen. You may not like it. We got receipts that say you'll stop being a Vikings fan. We got receipts. Just know that.
And where am I going? Where am I going?
Nowhere. It doesn't count.
It does count. You can't just say I'm leaving and not say where I would go. You have to say that part. So go ahead and say that part.
Dude wants to jump on the Texans bandwagon. So
Danielle Hunter and C.J. Stroud. Those are my dudes. I would do that for him.
Dude wants to have an affair and ride the Texans so hard right now, and it is just disgusting.
To be fair, if McCarthy is drafted at 11, I'm still a Vikings fan. let
I don't
that
think that's
be
what the
known.
receipt says. That's not what my receipt says.
I said if we trade up and draft him in the top 5 or top 10. So
I
we
will
have
not be a
11.
Viking. Nope. On February 22nd, you said, and I quote, I will not be a Vikings fan if JJ is drafted in the first round to the Vikings.
Oh,
Receipt.
dang, that's
Boom.
tough.
Mic drop. A month ago.
All
A
right,
month ago.
I'll chill in the Texans with CJ.
And we're not going to allow you to do that. But I do think that's where that goes. I think that's how that top 5 plays out. And then the Chargers will be sitting there at 11, hoping for Brock Bowers. They're going to, but they also, there's a lot of rumors that they might go offensive line. And then maybe they go like Roman Wilson in the second or third round. I don't know. I don't know what the Chargers are doing.
It's gross. He's getting a second round, third round grade. He's a round 5 receiver.
But
And
maybe
that's
they
not
make
me
a move
being
for
a
like.
Michigan hater.
No, I agree for the most part. Maybe they make a move for Brandon Ayuk. There was a report that came out that that Ayuk could be traded to the Jaguars, but the Jaguars weren't willing to give up their first round pick in Zay Jones.
Yes.
Like, do that trade. Brandon Ayuk, it's worth it. Do it.
Yes.
Freaking idiots. I think Justin Herbert has had the worst offseason, and it's not even his fault. I feel so bad for that dude. All right. Speaking.
I mean, we're also going to talk about how he got a running head coach.
He did. And then they brought in Greg Roman as well, who, the Ravens got rid of him because they wanted to pass the ball more. So that's Jim Harbaugh's thing, is ground and pound. He wants to run the ball, he wants to win in the trenches. So probably not great for Justin Herbert, but
They're getting Corum.
I do think they're going to get Corum at some point. It just makes too much sense. They're going to get Corum, they're going to get Roman Wilson, and then J.J. McCarthy is going to be drafted.
Trade
with the
us
Chargers draft
Herbert.
pick.
Take McCarthy. Come on. Do it, you cowards. All right. So my loser of the offseason is obviously the Baltimore Ravens. You cannot talk about, if you'd like to pull up that list, I know that one is a very long list. Okay, congratulations. You signed Derrick Henry, a very solid back. He can play all 2 downs. 3 downs? He's a 3-down back.
If I'm passing downs, the Titans literally took Derrick Henry out.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Down.
Because I remember Tyjae Spears getting a lot of reps, and he's one of my favorite backs. I wish we took him over McBride, but in McBride we trust. Anyways, congratulations. You got a workhorse. You have the king. You have the most dominant running back in probably our decade right now. Maybe, I think his best year is 2019. So, in the last 10 years, one of the most dominant running backs. Congratulations, but you lost your O-line. You lost Zietler. You couldn't pay him $6 million. Traded Moses?
Yep. So 2 of their offensive linemen are now Jets. Morgan Moses was traded. Then their starting guard, John Simpson, signed with the Jets. Kevin Zeitler, like you said, signed with the Lions. 3
You
of their
have
starting
Linderbaum
5
and Stanley.
is gone.
Linderbaum and Stanley, which is your core. I strongly believe that Zietler was a part of that core, but I guess $6 million is a little too much for you for 1 year. It's a terrible offseason. I don't know how much Patrick Queen, his departure is going to be. I think Patrick Queen is going to be good on the Steelers because of what he's going into and who he will have around him. But from what I've heard from Baltimore fans is his play improved once Roquan got there because he's the best linebacker in the game at the moment. But yeah, it's got to be the Baltimore Ravens. You got to have a good draft at this point. We'll see what happens.
That's the thing with the Ravens. You can always trust them to have a good draft, it seems like, because they are a well-run organization. They're a well-oiled machine. So even when they have bad off seasons like this, we're not going to go into the 2024 season and think the Ravens are going to finish in 4th in the AFC North. We're still more than likely going to go into next season thinking the Ravens
11 wins.
have a chance. Yeah, 11 wins. will probably be a good prediction. We'll see. Could be dead wrong. You never know. But because the Ravens are so well run, nobody questions them when they do lose a lot of guys and they have seemingly bad off seasons on paper. I'll run down the list of guys that they've lost. So they lost their Pro Bowl quarterback in Tyler Huntley. I mentioned Gus Edwards to the Chargers. They also have 3 other running backs that are free agents: Dalvin Cook, J.K. Dobbins, Melvin Gordon. Odell Beckham Jr. is a free agent, probably going to sign with the Dolphins. Maybe by the time this episode is published, he'll be a Dolphin. Devin Duvernay is a Jaguar. Some of these guys, it's like the Cowboys got players I listed off. Ravens fans probably aren't losing sleep a lot of these guys, or over a lot of these guys, but when you lose 3 out of your 5 starting offensive linemen, that's a problem. Jadeveon Clowney's still a free agent. Patrick Queen signed with your rival, the Steelers. Delshon Phillips with the Texans. Corner Ronald Darby's a Jaguar. Geno Stone's a Bengal, which
Yeah, I thought they were keeping him. That's what I was told.
I've seen some 50-50 where it's like the Ravens were probably fine letting him go to the Bengals.
Did they keep Marcus Williams?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton back there.
Still a solid
it's not
deal.
bad. It's not solid. It's not bad. But they've lost a lot of quality players. I don't want to say a lot, but the big thing that sticks out to me is 3 out of their 5 starting offensive line. So that I definitely do like that as your bad off season.
All right, your loser, real quick. Kind of a low key loser, Kenny Pickett. You go from the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they go to the playoff game you didn't even start in. They trade for Russell Wilson because it's cheap. You know, he's coming in minimum. Maybe you can learn from him. He's old. They're probably still going to stick with you long term. And guess what? The moment he fucks up, you get to come right back in. The moment he gets injured.
Language, dude.
Oh, sorry. The moment he gets injured, you get to come back in. Anyways. Kenny Pickett gets to go sit behind Jalen Hurts. And yes, Jalen Hurts can also get injured, but that's not your system. I really do not think that is. I don't really know what system Kenny fits in. It seems like
Broncos.
He just. I don't even know that. I don't think Kenny can do anything. I think he's a college quarterback. I think he was a good college quarterback. I think he has a Kenny Clutch gene. I don't know if Dylan even believes in that anymore, but
I'm sure he still does.
But yeah, I'm gonna go Kenny Pickett, worst loser of the off season.
For lack of a better term, the last week has kind of made Kenny Pickett look like a baby back bitch with the things that have come out. Like when Mason Rudolph was going to start the playoff game, Kenny Pickett was just upset and just mad and angry. And then when Russell Wilson came in, it was why? Like he wasn't willing to compete.
No, it was first. It was first. All right, that's fine. And then it was trade proposal.
Yeah. Best of luck, Kenny. We'll never hear from you again. You'll probably start a game or two if Jalen Hurts gets hurt, but yeah, that's ugly. One more bad. Let's do. I got one more bad.
You got one more bad?
I got one more bad team, just because they lost 2 players or 2 of their free agents signed with other teams for $100 million plus contracts. The Dolphins losing Robert Hunt, Christian Wilkins, and then Andrew Van Ginkel. The Dolphins haven't upgraded much, if at all. They pretty much just downgraded this offseason. And this is a pivotal year, I think, for everybody in the AFC East. The Bills look vulnerable. The Dolphins, you would think, would try overtaking the AFC East. Who knows what's going to happen with the Jets? The Patriots, this is a down year because, well, they're going to have a rookie quarterback. So if you're the Dolphins, fans probably went into this offseason thinking, okay, we have a chance to take that AFC East crown. And now you're looking, it's like, what did we do? So I think the Dolphins had a bad offseason. All right, we each have, let's just, you've got your best off season. I got my best off season, and then we'll wrap. So, who was your best off season? Who do you think had the best off season? I think you actually already mentioned them in some capacity today.
Pretty sure I said the Texans
Yep.
because of Daniil. But you also lost a first rounder, so that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
But
but
I
they
really
also
have not.
they had 2 first-round draft picks this year, so I don't think they're sweating it.
That is true. I did not. Remember that. I
Yeah.
really just say Texans because of Daniil. I mean,
I
you
like
got
the
a solid
Texans.
team. You
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I don't mean to cut you off, but I do agree. I think the Texans had a really good offseason. Not just Daniil, but I really like the Fully Fatukasi signing. He was a Jets defensive lineman, went to the Jaguars. He's a really good run stuffer. I think he's going to fit that system there with the Miko Ryans. Trading for Joe Mixon, I think he's going to be a solid running back. He's not who he once was. I think having a solid running back there and just adding weapons for CJ Stroud heading into his second year. They've added a couple first-round draft picks or former first-round draft picks at corner, too. Jeff Okudah, C.J. Henderson was signed today.
Good is about to
They've-
be reborn.
I hope so. I'd love to see that dude have a really good year. And looking at the guys that they lost Devin Singletary, but they replaced him with Joe Mixon, so I think that's an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
George Fant is a Seahawk. They lost Jonathan Grenard to the Vikings, but they were replacing with Daniil Hunter, so a little bit older. Sheldon Rankins, their defensive tackle, left for the Bengals, but they replaced him with Fully Fatukasi. Blake Cashman signed with the Vikings. I think that's a good signing for you, too.
I love that signing.
That should be a
Minnesota
good-
guy too. He's from Minnesota. He's gonna love it there.
Yeah, he played there at Minnesota. Overall, I think the Texans did have a good offseason, so I do like that for you.
Very happy about it.
I would be too. My best offseason. Drew, don't kill me, but I think the Eagles had the best offseason.
Dang.
I love the Bryce Huff signing. I'm a big Bryce Huff believer, big fan of him. I think he's going to go off in Vic Fangio's system. I think he's going to have a blast. And then when this happened, Drew was pretty much saying, like, dude's washed, he's not good. But Saquon Barkley is still one of the top running backs in the league and one of the better running teams in the NFL just acquired him. I think Saquon Barkley is going to thrive in Philly. I think that's going to work really well. And I might look really dumb for this take when it's all said and done. I do really think Saquon Barkley to the Eagles does work out well. You got a backup quarterback in Kenny Pickett. Might have given up a little too much. But, it's okay. You brought C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. Was in Detroit for a year. You brought him back. I think
After he
also
called his fans the worst.
Yeah. He's going to have to kiss some ass there. But
Yeah.
I think he's also going to thrive in Vic Fangio's system. Brandon Graham came back. They did lose Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey. That's going to hurt. Center should be fine because Cam Jurgens is going to slide into guard. They did re-sign Landon Dickerson.
Yeah, that was a given.
So I think overall they had a really good offseason. They're probably my favorite offseason that they've had. Because the two top guys that they got were really good players. And the Eagles always try, at least, having a good pass rush. Bringing in Bryce Huff only helps. So
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of
especially
the Bryce
losing
Huff
Fletcher
move.
Cox. Brandon Graham might go inside. Might get bigger.
It'll
But
probably be more your run stuff where you're running, like your edge rusher on running downs. That's
this will probably
what
be
they'll
his
play.
last year.
I don't think he's got too many more years left, Brandon Graham.
No,
But-
he is old. He played in the 06-07 game.
Damn. That old. That's really old. But, yeah. Best offseason, I think, goes to the Eagles, and I can't wait to hear what Drew has to say about this. But,
Adding Barkley is so deadly. It's ridiculous.
man, just run read option with him and Jalen Hurts.
Who cares if there's two running backs on the backfield?
If it works, right? So,
I'd like to I'd like to add an overrated offseason.
Go on.
I'm going to say the Falcons.
It depends on how
Thoughts?
you think people are rating them. I think they had a good offseason.
People
I
are
think they
people are saying they are an A/B+.
offseason.
Yes.
Well, you
If
added
Kirk
a
gets
starting.
hurt, you're fucked. Shit.
Bro,
Oh,
that's two. That is
mute,
two.
mute. Okay, we'll
Brother.
cut that out. Anyways, you got Darnell Mooney, you got Ray McLeod, you got rid of Ritter. You're the youngest quarterback on the roster. Like you're giving up that quickly. Like, don't get me wrong. I know I have said he is boring. I still agree with that statement.
They got Rondale Moore for
Oh yeah, they did
Desmond
get
Ritter.
Rondo
No,
Moore.
absolutely do that. I think Darnell Mooney and Rondale Moore are solid acquisitions. You pair them up with the receiver core that they have in Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Bijan's still back there. I think this is a team that will compete. I mean, they competed for the NFC South last year. I don't see why they don't this year. They should be in the playoffs, especially because the NFC conference as a whole is weak. They'll be in the playoffs as long as Kirk
I
stays
hope they
healthy.
miss. I hope they miss playoffs. They're
It
coming
is
to
so funny.
Minnesota. Week
It is
3, I
so
believe.
schedule hasn't been leaked yet, dude.
Well, I know that they're coming here next year. I think everybody knows that we played the NFC South.
It is so funny watching how you've turned on Kirk Cousins. Like
I have not turned.
you
I
went from
just hate the
praising him,
Falcons.
you went from, and we've got this on tape. You saying that you would rather have Kirk Cousins over Tom Brady, to
I would.
now Kirk Cousins being public enemy number one.
I
It is
never said
funny.
he was public enemy. You guys are putting that on me. It's
You
not.
never denied it. You never denied it.
I'm not
But
gonna.
go.
I've never affirmed it. I can say that. Falcons are definitely public enemy number one. I hope we beat the crap out of them.
Thank you for watching your language right there. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was tough.
I'm sure it was. All right.
You have an
I think that's it.
overrated one? Think about it. There's got to be one. I mean, you could say Titans, but that's your bad one.
Yeah, that's my bad one. I think the Titans had a bad one. I think the Jaguars had a bad offseason. I don't know.
Steelers?
There's just maybe.
I mean, you got two
Did they? I mean, they got two
subpar
quarterbacks, but I
You
don't
got
know
two
if they're going to
par
be good or not.
quarterbacks.
I don't know if they're going to be good or not. They got rid of Deontay Johnson, which I'm a big fan of Deontay Johnson because, again, TOL. But
Okay,
I just
go Eagles.
it might be Steelers in my opinion. That might have had it most overrated, but I don't know how they're rated. I don't see a lot of people like hyping up the Steelers except for Dylan right now, which I mean, understandably so.
True.
I'm interested to see how the quarterback situation plays out and what we're saying about the Steelers quarterback come week 18. Like, if everybody thinks Russ can be a guy for another year or two, or if Justin Fields is a guy, or if we get to week 18, it's like, all right, well, the Steelers have to draft a quarterback again in 2025.
Watch
That's
them get Shador.
Shedeur Sanders. It'd be interesting.
Would.
I think that's a good place to wrap.
I do.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Party Chat Sports. Our first pretty much group episode in a way. It's just Cam and I here for season 2. Thank you for everybody that's joined us over the last year or so. Those that have listened to us through our podcast. Those that have watched us on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. Hope you continue to follow us throughout the off season. We're going to start getting heavy into draft content, I would imagine, with the draft only being a little over a month away. It's crazy. It's going to come up quick. So get those mock draft simulators up. Get those running. I know we have been. Definitely Drew and Dylan have been cranking out those draft simulators.
I can't do them. I'm not gonna
It's
lie.
the
I have no idea what we're gonna do. That's the thing. We have 2 first-round draft picks. That's awesome to pick with, though. I might as well do one tomorrow, unless we trade up to 2 or 3.
I think you could probably find a draft simulator that will allow you to trade, but you figure that out in your own time. Again, thank you everybody for watching. I'm not sure
Thank you so
when we
much.
will be back, but we'll be back at some
Love you
point. So
guys
make
so
sure you
much.
follow us.
The best.
Make sure you
Keep
continue to
going.
follow us on TikTok at Party Chat Sports, on YouTube at Party Chat Sports, and you can keep up to date with everything we're doing. If it's YouTube, if it's podcast, if it's both, on our Twitter or X, also at Party Chat Sports. Until next time, have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your day, and talk to you soon.
Adios.